Hi, it's Anna here, and it's a beautiful summer. Actually, it's the 1st of December today, so it's just turned into summer. December 2013 here in Australia, in Canberra, the capital of Australia. So depending on when you're looking at this, you might be having winter, it might be a few years down the track, but today's such a gorgeous day. So what I wanted to talk to you today about is really important, and not a lot of people are aware of this. Unless you're into personal development, you might understand it. So it's about why people do the things that they do. So as a child, we're born with, neutrality in our brains. But as we grow and experience things in our lives, neuro-networks start to form in the brain. So neurons that fire together wire together. Now that means when you repeat consistent patterns or thought systems, they become neuro-networks in the brain, which become solidified. Now that's why people do things that they do repetitively. For example, people respond habitually. They do things habitually. Because these neural networks have been created in the brain based on repetitive behavior or repetitive thoughts. Now here's something interesting that you can do, which kind of will show you how the patterning in the brain it has formed and how it's actually uncomfortable to try and do something different. So for example, I challenge you next time you go to work to drive a different route on your way to work. So drive in a different direction or different streets to get to the same direction. Don't use your favorite coffee cup. Use a different cup that you actually don't like. Sit in a different area when you go to your favorite restaurant or to the movies or somewhere that you wouldn't normally sit, or sit in a different spot on the lounge that you normally sit at, or just alter your behavior. Do something different to how you normally do it every day. And then you'll see that there's an uncomfortable feeling because you're forcing the change in the patterning of the brain, because the brain has been wired according to your thinking and your repetitive behaviors. So then how do we change that? Okay, they say in order to break a habit, you have to change your thinking or your patterning, and it takes about 21 days to create change. So how that happens, when you change a certain behavior, the neural networks that have fired and wired together in the brain all of a sudden start getting less energy or less power to them when you change your behavior, or you change your thinking about a particular issue or a particular thing, or just changing your habitual patterns. Now, so when you start to undo those or change your behavior or thoughts, these neural networks then lose their strength and then disappear. And then the new patterning or the new behavior that you're doing is creating new fired networks in the brain, which then become permanent or permanent changes and new habitual patterns, which is really interesting. So if you wonder why you're reacting or responding in particular ways, in certain ways, it's because you've got the neural networks that have been created in your brain based on things that you've done before or words that you've spoken. So that's really important to understand if you want to create change in your life. So depending on the areas that you want to change, it's going to take about 21 days to change your neural network patterning in the brain. But once you do that, then the new forms or the new thought patterns will be easy to follow, because you've got the neural networks there that have caused the change. So depending on what you want to change in your life, that is why it's hard to break patterns, because they are actually chemical neural networks that have been formed in the brain to keep you consistent with what you're doing. So it's fascinating. The realm of neural networks is I just think it's fantastic, and it's amazing. So that's why you're doing what you're doing. So if you want to change consistently on whichever areas that you want. It takes about 21 days to create change, but once you do, then that change will be consistent. So that's exactly why you have patterns, and why we do things the way we do. So I hope that's been useful to you today. So if you find this message useful, please share or make comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a wonderful day.